writers and editors. I'm coming to you from my yoga mat today because I am sick of sitting down in my chair, and I just finished recording a video for you guys about how to avoid writer's butt. So let's jump into the topic of this video though. I want to talk about competitive analysis because it's so critical if you're going to write a book that has any chance of success in the market and reaching your ideal reader. So this is something for nonfiction authors in particular, and for fiction authors, it's important, but you can do this later. But for a nonfiction author, before you start writing your book, you need to do a competitive analysis. And you're going to have to if you are doing a proposal to be traditionally published. But often self-publishing authors and indie authors who are going with the small press that may not require a proposal fail to do this. And I think that this is one of the biggest reasons that their books don't succeed in the marketplace. So let's just talk about a couple of ways to do that. The first thing you need to do is go to Amazon and just think about if you were your ideal reader. And ideal reader is critical actually even before this step. So I'm going to put a link in the description box below to my ideal reader profile blog post. Now, it just occurs to me I'm about to shift my website. So if that link does not work for you, just go to my website, go to the blog and look for it. But it's about your ideal reader. So do that first. And then, thinking like your ideal reader, type in to Amazon the search terms that you would expect people would use to look for a book like yours, because it's about discoverability. And Amazon is one of the biggest search engines. We don't think about it like that, but it is. So do that and then see what pops up. And look and really dig into who the author is. Go to their author page or their bio on there, and if it doesn't say, look for them online and go to their website, which I'm going to recommend that you do anyway. But look at their resume, their CV, because your credibility as a nonfiction author is all based on what you have done in the past and your position amongst your peers. So I hate to say it like this, but the truth of the matter is, if you do not have the credibility in the space, I highly recommend that you do not write your book. One of the things that I've heard for years that I completely disagree with, and I'll explain why in a minute, is the idea that if you want to become an authority, you should write a book. That sounds all great, and sure, the word author is in the word authority, and I'm not diminishing that. But authority, you're either an authority or you're not. And if you haven't earned that space, in that level of credibility in your space, writing a book is not going to get you that credibility. Because, and I explain this to people I coach and talk to all the time, if you think about it, if you went to a physician and one had a book and the other didn't, but the one who had a book was maybe in their residency, and the one who didn't have a book was a world-renowned physician in whatever your issue was, do you think you would make a choice of who was more credible and who had more authority based on the fact that they were an author or not? Probably not. So if you keep that in mind, that can be helpful. And people recognize authorities. People who know what they're talking about recognize who is an authority and who is not. So the danger, if you write your book too soon, you are going on record permanently, and the truth of the matter is you're exposing your ignorance. So don't feel the pressure just because everybody else around you, it seems, has a book and you don't. Now, in a head-to-head competition, if you're equally qualified, then yes, the person who has the book may get a leg up for speakers and media attention and that type of thing. But all other things considered, I don't think that makes any difference. Okay, so that's part of where you're wanting to think is, all right, how does my background and what I do stack up against the people that my book is going to be competing against? Okay. Now the other thing is to go to their website and check out their branding and how they're messaging to the readers. So one of the things that you can do, and check out their Instagram account, their Twitter account, LinkedIn, whatever your ideal audience, where they hang out. Okay. So if you're purely in the business space, then LinkedIn and maybe Twitter. Maybe Instagram isn't that important. If you're talking to a younger audience, then Instagram is going to be a big deal. And if you have more visual type of stuff. So that's a topic for another video. But be sure to check out, where is your competition hanging out? Because if their books are doing well and if they have market share, you want to know what they're doing. Because if you don't get in front of those same types of readers and hang out where the readers are, then it doesn't matter how good your book is. And that's something that, as an editor and somebody who respects the craft and is very much focused on, let's write the best book possible. It might seem funny to hear me say that you need to focus on your business position and the marketing position first, because the best book in the world is not going to matter if nobody can find it and nobody reads it. Now, that doesn't take away, you shouldn't skimp on the other stuff, because if you're in front of people and people are looking at you and want to buy your book, if your book isn't excellent and doesn't solve their problem and do it in a really high quality way, then you're going to get dinged for that. So they are equally important, but you have to start with the market, because the market is what brings people to your book. And the quality of your book is going to get them from page 1 to the last page in there. All right, now focus on their social media followers, what type of website they've got, how they're blogging, and then choose the things that are similar to your project and similar to your audience and what you want to be doing in that space, and look to them for guidance. And again, making the first thing to do is to see, is it even the right time for me to write this book? And if there's a huge amount of competition in the space, you might want to reconsider how you are writing it. Always with the idea of, okay, this is what everybody else is talking about. Now, what is my unique selling proposition? Now, here's where I think people who are doing some market analysis like that they're missing a piece. And that is, I have not talked to, I can't think of any author that I've talked to that when they do a competitive analysis, that they are really reading, they are buying and reading the top 7 to 10 books in that space to really understand what the author is saying to their audience and where the prospective client or whomever I'm coaching or talking to, where their opportunity is to say, okay, out of all of these things, what nobody is talking about is X. Or everybody is positioning it this way, but I'm saying this, okay? And that's what you highlight as your unique selling proposition, and that's how you get market share. Now, I think ghostwriters and developmental editors and coaches would do well to do this too. So whenever I take on a book collaboration or a ghostwriting project, I do the same thing. I purchase 7 to 10 books that I have identified as being the biggest competition for my client. I read those and I find the angle to say, okay, we need to shift the story or develop this scope of the book to be talking about something new, reframing this. Here's your opportunity. So it's not changing their vision. It's just changing the focus to offer them greater market share and to reach a readership that maybe isn't being reached. The other thing to think about is that readers are readers. So typically, and in nonfiction especially, think about it. If you have self-help books on your shelf, or business books, health and wellness books, whatever, right? The key thing is the S on the end of that, plural. You don't buy just one book in any particular genre or on any particular topic. Most of us collect books like some people collect shoes and clothes. So your book doesn't have to be the be all end all. What you want to say is something new in the space. So make it compelling enough that the people who are buying these other books also want to buy your book, because there's a gap in what these other books are saying. And that's how you position your marketing. That's what you can talk about when you're doing videos or all these other pre-book launch stuff, okay? Now, if you want to take it even further, I highly recommend that you subscribe to Publishers Marketplace. It is a subscription. It's going to cost you something every month, but if you want great information, it doesn't come free. And Publishers Marketplace is what industry experts are using, literary agents, acquisition editors, savvy freelance editors, and savvy writers are using. Now, the great thing about it is that you get to see all of the book deals that are happening, that are being reported by literary agents and publishers, acquisition editors. So if you think you have this great idea for a book and you're not seeing it in the space, keep in mind that traditional publishing, it can take 1 year to 2 years to get a book all the way through the system. So what self-publishing authors don't know, and authors who are not, I say self-publishing authors only because many of them are not doing the same market analysis. They're not thinking about things in the same business way that other writers are. So I don't mean that to be pejorative. It's just, in my experience, that's just the truth. So let's just face it. And if you're one of those self-publishing authors who is listening to this video and doing all this stuff, awesome. I think that's fantastic. Okay, so you can track what's going on and go, oh man, this book is coming down the pipeline about the same time I'm wanting to launch my book. All right, I'm going to do some research on that author and what their platform is. And I need to be also not just thinking about what's on the shelf now, but what's coming down the pipeline is going to be launched at the same time that my book is launched. And then the other subscription tool that I recommend, not as much as Publishers Marketplace. So if you have to make a choice for financial reasons which to do Publishers Marketplace. But you can take your market research a step further and subscribe to the BookScan subscription, and you can get it through Publishers Marketplace, so it syncs up with your account. And what it does is you can select up to 5 books to follow per month, and you can see sales numbers. And instead of having to get your data from all these different places, Publishers Marketplace has bestseller lists in there. So when you're following books, you can follow that kind of stuff too. This is going to give you, and editors, I cannot recommend this enough. We have an opportunity to serve our clients so much better and to develop a level of credibility and to bring up our business and get a different group of clients if we are thinking about things like this and offering this kind of service. So I think editors and writers need to be doing this. Okay, so you can look at the data and compare all of these things. Okay, this one hit the bestseller, these bestseller lists. This is how many copies approximately they've sold. Keep in mind that BookScan is highly respected, and it's probably the best one for tracking numbers, but it still doesn't capture all sales. So just keep that in mind. But your brain if you're thinking strategically and thinking analytically, your brain is going to start to aggregate this information, and it will allow you to develop a much better writing strategies and marketing strategies for and with your clients if you're an editor or a ghostwriter, book collaborator. And then if you're a self-publishing author, an indie author, and even if you're seeking a traditional publishing contract, you have a leg up on your competition, and it doesn't take that long. Why would you write a book and spend hundreds and hundreds of hours investing in that? Or even if you're collaborating with somebody, pay tens of thousands of dollars to collaborate with somebody if you haven't done the upfront research to make sure that you're going to have market space and that readers want what you have to say and you know how to reach them. So, first step, figure out who your ideal reader is. And second step is go to Amazon and do your recon there on both the books. Look at the table of contents for all of the books that you're looking at on Amazon, and look at the authors and see if your resume, CV, all of that stuff stacks up against those other authors. Then if you're still like check, good, you have an idea of, you're going to start to formulate an idea of your unique selling proposition. Then you're going to go deeper and you're going to buy, preferably from an local indie bookstore. You're going to buy those authors' books. You're going to read them and develop. Again, you need a lot of information to aggregate. You're going to start to see the gaps, figure out your unique selling proposition, where your readers are, and then you can go to Publishers Marketplace and BookScan if you want to do even more detailed information. All right, I hope that helps. And if you guys have questions, please go to my website, shoot me an email. I am happy to answer questions. And if you have that question, I'm sure somebody else will. I'll either do a video or a blog post about it, and I'll still answer your question.